Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on September the 27th, rushing right through September. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Okay, on September the 27th in the year of our Lord 2025, as usual, I have some great information for you, so let's go ahead and click the Rumble link here. And this is my Rumble channel. Let's slide down here. This is the episode you're watching right now, episode 1698, my live stream. Let's get into this. Pause this and close out the live chat box. Slide down here and click the Show More button to expand the description box out. And we have information from On the Fringe, Chicks on the Right, Wendy Bell Radio. This was her episode from yesterday. She had so much great stuff in it. I wanted to share some more of it today. And X22 report. But before we get into that, let me give a shout out to Watsky. Just started following my channel. Fox Mick just started following my channel. Jotrick23 just started following my channel. R Riot Tanks just started following my channel. GB King 57 just started following my channel. Roy Nerf 7 just started following my channel. Prayer 2020 just started following my channel. Abyss Angels 13 just started following my channel. And Navy Girl _ 1111 just started following my channel. So thank you very much for following my channel. I greatly appreciate your support. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, let's slide down here. Debbie BS commented on my Murtech Daily News wrap-up from last night. Debbie BS and Milik Cobb 2 commented on my episode 1697. Debbie BS commented on my extra 482A. Sydney Hope and Debbie BS commented on my extra 482B. Beach Toy, Debbie BS, and Patio Furniture 63 commented on my extra 482C. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback, and I certainly appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up. Boom. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's get into this. We're going to start this about the 9-minute and 10-second mark after he gets past some introduction and some advertisement. So let's get into this. Times are troubling for Deep State. I certainly hope so.
Appoint me frequently. National Pulse. Ex-FBI Director James Comey finally indicted, as we've heard from everybody. Donald Trump truthed this out in regards, whether you like corrupt James Comey or not, and I can't imagine too many people liking him, he lied. It's not a complex lie. It's a very simple but important one. There is no way he can explain his way out of it. He is a dirty cop and always has been, but he was just assigned a crooked Joe Biden appointed judge, so he's very off to a good start. Nevertheless, words are words, and he wasn't hedging or in dispute. He was very positive. There was no doubt in his mind about what he said or meant by saying it. He left himself zero margin of error on a big and important answer to a question. He just got unexpectedly caught. James Dirty Cop Comey was a destroyer of lives. He knew exactly what he was saying, and that is very serious and far-reaching lie for which a very big price must be paid. President Donald J. Trump. Also, a funny little Elon Musk post.
I like that.
I wonder if he had Grok make this. Doesn't look like it. Usually it says Grok in the corner. But it's an F around and find out seashells, right? Fafo and seashells. And it shows Donald Trump placing all the seashells. Elon Musk shared this. It's pretty damn funny. I think, anyways. We've got some other huge news. Count 2 for Comey should be separate charge for every public official in that body, since his testimony attempted to influence each of them. And this is I'm going to back up on a second and explain this a little better. But to finish this off, this is exactly what they did to Tina Peters. They say that she frauded all these individuals, so they nailed her with multiple cases of fraud.
Yep.
Well, Comey was talking to the Senate committee And so there was, I don't know, 15, 11, 7 of them. I don't know how many there are in this particular thing, but every individual he lied to, every individual he said something and misled, every individual, it should be a separate count if we're going to play the game the same way they've played it, which, that kind of sucks because you've committed one crime, but you committed that crime actually to individual people. I mean, it would suck if you're the criminal. That's for sure. You'd be like, dude, that's messed up, man. But then at the same time, you're like, you just tried to defraud multiple people. Just because you were using the same defraud tactic doesn't mean you just, get one charge. No, you did it to hunt a bunch of separate people. So sorry. Like if you commit robbery 5 times, right? 5 different people. You can't just be like, that's just one robbery. I just committed robbery. They're like 5 different people. Oh, it's the same crime though. No, it doesn't work like that. But we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. Lindsay Halligan. A lot of people are wondering, who the hell is this chick? This is the one that Trump has appointed to the this district. I forget which one she is. That was the Virginia or whatever it is, East District of Virginia. And the person that was initially there, the person that Trump just fired recently, refused to take the case for Comey, and also refused to charge, I think it was Letitz James. Wouldn't charge either of them. Said, nah, not going to do it. So Trump's like, fired, putting somebody in immediately after that. Now we've got a case. Funny how the game plays, right? Mm-hmm. And this lady was Trump's lawyer. She was brought into his orbit back when she joined the legal team in 2022, part of the legal proceedings in Florida with the classified documents. Trump announced Saturday he was nominating Halligan, and here she is, right? Siebert departed. This is the individual that quit, we'll say, Eric Siebert, or fired, actually. No, he's straight up fired. He departed after he reportedly told top justice officials there was not sufficient evidence to bring charges against New York Attorney General Letitz James. She lied on mortgage applications to get better rates. There's plenty of information. Look at the place. Look at what she put in the information. There you go. Done. Case closed. They just didn't want to do it because, again, deep state people. We've got to get the deep state people out. It's just great because they show themselves. It's awesome. We're like, all right, we know who they are. I still think we've got some issues in SDNY, but apparently they've gotten in there. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't feel like enough has come from there. There's so much crap that's wrapped up in SDNY. Talk about where burn bags are probably just in closets. I mean, that's one place I'd think. But yeah, Lindsay's tough, smart, loyal, blah, blah, blah. She has proven herself in the Trump circles. That much is for sure. Comey's son-in-law, he was working for the DOJ after former FBI chief was indicted. He has now quit. He said, to uphold my oath to the Constitution and country, I hereby resign as an assistant United States attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia in the Department of Justice, effective immediately. Strange that he quits right after the new boss is in town. Who wants to bet that was one of those either quit or be fired moments? So James Comey's kid was there. Wasn't James Comey's, so this is his son-in-law. And James Comey's daughter was assigned to SDNY and was handling those cases. How the world turns, huh? Mm-hmm. So James Comey's daughter stepped down or quit or was fired. I don't remember which it was for her. I know she bitched about it, but whatever. And now we've got this Siebert dude, right? Siebert and Ernie. Where the hell I lost his name? Doesn't matter. Whatever. I thought it was up here. It doesn't matter. All said, this is very interesting how the whole family working together. I wouldn't be surprised if there's others that are tied in, right? This is kind of how the game's played. FBI Director Kash Patel made 2 posts that were of note. Career FBI agents, intel analysts, and staff led the investigation into Comey and others. They called the balls and strikes and will continue to do so. The wildly false accusations attacking this FBI for the politicization of law enforcement comes from the same bankrupt media that sold the world on Russiagate. It's hypocrisy on steroids. Their baseless objections tell us now, more than ever, that we are precisely over the target and will remain on mission until completion. And he also posted this. Today, your FBI took another step in its promise to full accountability. For far too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging once proud institutions and severely eroding public trust. Every day, we continue the fight to earn that trust back, and under my leadership, this FBI will confront the problem head on. Nowhere was this politicization of law enforcement more blatant than during the Russiagate hoax, a disgraceful chapter in history we continue to investigate and expose. Everyone, especially those in positions of power, will be held to account no matter their perch. No one is above the law. We're going to love it.
Okay, great information. Now, I don't understand. Okay, these people like Bolton and Comey and others, you would think that Trump got back in office. They would try to lay low. I don't understand why they come out and make wild accusations, make wild claims against Donald Trump, and expect the Trump administration not to focus on them. Okay, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Okay, well, I don't understand why they want to squeak so much. Now, Comey's got a corrupt judge, Biden a corrupt judge, so who knows what's going to happen there. The judge might throw it all out of court. Throw it out. Who knows? But it's going to cost him some money and some time and some probably uncomfortableness. We can only hope. We can hope that it's more, but we can only hope for the best. Let me go ahead and click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from On the Fringe. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, and the link to this, if you want to watch more of it, this is like an hour and 50 minutes long, this video. So if you want to watch more of it, the link to this video is right down here in the description box. All you got to do is click it, just like I did, and go directly to the video. All right, let's move on to Chicks on the Right. Trump reacts to James Comey's indictment in the most Trump way ever. Okay, well, this ought to be interesting. Let's see what
This was, of course, the big news from yesterday. And before the indictments came down, because that happened at around, 5, 6 o'clock at night, Trump was asked about it when he was hosting Erdogan in his office. He was asked about what was going to happen with Comey, because as we mentioned yesterday, the rumors were flying that indictments were coming. And so he was asked, what was his involvement? What did he know? And here is what Trump said early afternoon.
I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
He's facing up to 5 years per count. Oh God, I love karma. I love it. It's so great.
Well, and apparently this is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so earlier, before the indictments came down, Mike Davis, who of course is a lawyer very, very close to the administration, he was on, I think, with Benny, and Benny was like, do you have a message for James Comey? And Mike Davis,
I can't wait. This is going to be good, you guys. Buckle in.
He's just so ridiculous. He's a ridiculous person. He's impossible to stay mad at, frankly.
Right. He totally is. I know, right? We have to have him back on. We have to.
I know. We do. And so here is his message to James Comey. This is, again, was ahead of the indictments.
What is your message to James Comey?
Lawyer up, Big Jim. And we are going to be making the 6'6" prison jumpsuits as we speak. Because this guy is a snake. He participated in the biggest scandal in American history. When they talk about the threat to democracy, Crossfire Hurricane and the cover-up is the gravest threat to democracy we've seen in America. And so justice is definitely coming.
I love all of the the memes online of people making shell formations.
We have some. We have some. Yeah, we have some.
Just everything.
So Cash, ahead of the announcement, like immediately ahead of it, without even naming names, he put this tweet out saying, today, your FBI took another step in its promise of full accountability. For too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging once proud institutions, severely eroding public trust. Every day, we continue to fight to earn that trust back. And under my leadership, this FBI will confront the problem head on. Nowhere was this politicization of law enforcement more blatant than during the Russiagate hoax, a disgraceful chapter in history we continue to investigate and expose. Everyone, especially those in positions of power, will be held to account no matter their perch. No one is above the law.
Hell yeah, no one's above the law, Comey.
That's
right. I cannot wait to see all of this go down. We're all like, yes.
It's so good. And so then the indictments came down, and there were the 2 counts for alleged false statement and for obstruction of justice. And Caitlin, I never remember, is it Clark or Collins? I can never remember which one
Collins.
is which.
Collins.
Okay. Yes.
CNN.
The Dylan Mulvaney one.
Yes, it's Collins.
From CNN. So she did this whole intro about the indictments, and it was clear that she was like, Trump is seeking retribution and he has orchestrated this. And this is basically his personal hand is all over this. Mm-hmm. That's how she presented it to a former prosecutor and basically asked him, so is that what this is about? Here's how that went.
Jim, obviously you were a former prosecutor for a long time in the Department of Justice. Do you believe this decision to charge James Comey was reached independently of what the president has so clearly conveyed he wanted to happen here?
Well, probably. I mean, you do have a grand jury that indicted. They carefully considered the case. They actually shaved it down to an area that makes a lot of sense. You know, nobody's actually talking about the specifics of his false statement, but this was a director of the FBI who had a special employee designed for one purpose, to leak things to the New York Times. Now, when he was pressed in Congress on whether or not he had leaked something, he had authorized the leak of a memo he retained wrongfully at his house, he said, no, that's not my recollection. They challenged him about McCabe, another guy who had referrals to the Inspector General for lying. And Comey said, that's not my recollection. So in a weird way, through all this chaos, through all this kind of political interest of what's going on behind closed doors, who knew what, at the end of the day, the indictment that's left is actually pretty simple. He either lied about leaking to the New York Times in a tantrum because he is getting fired, or he didn't. And I don't think it's going to lend itself to the easy dismissals that some of your other folks have been saying they're going to get.
Yeah, his cover's gone. Now he has no cover.
And you know what's interesting about him is that no one likes him. Like, he's hated by the left because of what he did to Hillary. And then he's hated by us because of what he did to Trump. Like, he is universally disliked. He's an awful, awful person. And what cracks me up right now is just watching the leftist media pretend as though this whole thing is so unprecedented and that the GOP better watch out because this could all, the same thing could happen to them.
You did.
Bitches! You already started this mess.
Did this. What do you think you did to Trump and everyone? Seriously, what have you been doing? That's literally all you did for 4 years. Oh my God.
I know. It's been unreal to watch their reaction.
They have zero self-awareness. Zero. Totally. And I hope Schiff is next. I hope he's next. Shifty Schiff. God.
Oh, that'll be a good one. That'll be a really good one. I know. Oh my God.
Right there, you know.
You got to watch a really cool thing, a new release from Angel Studios, which I have not seen yet, but
Henry Carried in loving this. It was done.
His good
chick, such a good, and all of this, definitely check it out if you can. And it's angel.com/chicks. Do it. Watch it.
So good.
It's so good.
So good.
So you got to watch it this weekend. You have to. So good.
I know we will. We absolutely will. So Trump was obviously pleased with this news. You can read his tweet to the world.
Justice in America. One of the worst human beings this country has ever been exposed to is James Comey, the former corrupt head of the FBI. Today, he was indicted by a grand jury on 2 felony counts for various illegal and unlawful acts. He has been so bad for our country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes against our nation. Make America great again. He's so right. That guy had no business being in charge of the FBI.
Mm-mm.
No business.
No business. Not at all. And the only thing that surprised me about his Instagram video that he posted last night was that it didn't have the switch playing in the background. Other than that, it was exactly as just it's exactly like you would expect of him. He's still a pompous, arrogant a-hole.
Right.
But here he is talking about the indictments and how he is not afraid, you guys. He's not afraid.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either.
Okay.
I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice,
Oh my God.
but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Someone said
And
he's gonna live on his knees in prison, and I totally agree. I
Mike
agree.
Davis retweeted that video and said, "Dear Comey, this is just your first trial. There will be more than one."
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I just love it. What a jerk this guy
Oh my
is.
God, he's just awful. Awful.
Just the absolute worst.
Mike Davis also had another tweet about all of these goings on in which he said, "Dear lawfare Democrats, you think tonight's indictment of Comey for false statements and obstruction is bad? Just wait for the indictments of many others for conspiracy against rights." He listed a whatever 18 USC whatever 241 and then said tick tock.
I freaking love it.
Cannot get enough.
Mike. I love it, Mike. Okay.
And then, this whole thing was the indictment came down 5 days before the expiration date, what's it called? The statute of limitations was going to run out in 5 days. So it was filed just in time. And then James Comey's son-in-law, a guy by the name of Troy Edwards, resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia right after the indictment came down, simply saying, "To uphold my oath to the Constitution and country, I hereby resign as Assistant U.S. Attorney."
Interesting. It's very interesting. I also find it interesting how they didn't drag him out of his house in the middle of the night in his underwear.
I'm kind of
You know what I mean?
disappointed.
Well, we don't do that. Don't you think it's interesting how that didn't happen though? Like they didn't do that, and like all the networks weren't there to televise it. He basically just had to turn himself in. You know what I mean? Today, I think he's doing that. He's just kind of walk in there and do that. It's a today thing. So, I mean, they told him in advance. It was very civilized. Whereas if the tables were turned, it would have been televised in the middle of the night. CNN would be there because we've seen it happen.
SWAT teams would have come.
Right. Helicopters, you know what I mean? The cameras, the lights would have been shining. He would have been dragged out in his freaking underwear because that's what liberals do. We didn't do that. Notice how we didn't do that? Isn't it interesting, the difference, the dichotomy between the two? Just want to point that out.
So weird.
It's so weird how we're civilized and they're not.
So you gave this away a little bit earlier, but Elon had tweeted out this hilarious picture of Trump finding just a really interesting shell formation just randomly on a beach walk.
So random. So random, you guys.
And then I cracked up at this description so hard, but this was like from a couple years ago. Someone had tweeted, "I cannot wait for justice to drag its butthole across your face like a dog on a carpet." Best description ever.
Oh my God, Randy Savage, you are my people. You are my people. Shout out.
Oh my God.
God,
It's just
this
beautiful.
is where I love the internet. This is why. This is why I continue to be on it. Randy, shout out.
So
okay, there you have it, folks. Yeah, I love Chicks on the Right. Okay, they have great stuff. They started out here in Indianapolis on a radio station, WIBC. They had a show that was right after Rush Limbaugh for a while. But great stuff. Okay, I'm subscribed to their channel. This is their YouTube channel. Giving them a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what Wendy Bell has to say. And I'm going to start this about the 22-minute mark. She's done her first segment. This is after her first break, going into the bottom of the hour. She's a little more serious, although she does have some humor, and that's why I love to watch her as well. Here we go.
Oh my gosh, it's magic, you guys. Well, yes, in fact, we did have some undercover agents at the Capitol on January 6th. Oh, yeah, we knew that. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, men's and women's lives were ruined on January 6th. Not because of anything they did, but because they were part of a trap. Matthew Perna is not alive today because he was so ridiculed and the media tore him up so badly that his neighbors shunned him, though his crime was to walk through the Capitol end to end. I think it was 14 minutes. Take some selfies, maybe wave an American flag. And he was treated like a murderer, like a scourge, like a stain on his community. For what?
Murderers aren't treated as badly as he was, okay? Especially in Democrat cities. Murderers are treated like they are the victims.
And he walked off a ladder with a rope around his neck. And the ripple effect of his death will not go away. These people play games with other people's lives. And then it took Kash Patel digging into the bowels of the FBI, the Hoover building, to find what had been asked for 4 years ago. That Chris Wray obfuscated, lied about. Dude, I hope he fries.
Yes.
Chris Wray, I hope you fry.
Absolutely.
How dare you? How dare you? Blood on your hands, sir. Kash Patel finds these after-action reports on the Bureau's involvement in January 6th. You guys remember Clay Higgins? Congressman, dogged, digging into the information. We have all the information, Mr. Ray. I'm giving you an opportunity to come clean. Tell me what you know. How many undercover agents were at the Capitol on January 6th? This is not a complicated question. Couldn't answer. Lied.
Wouldn't answer.
And that's going to come back to haunt him. Here's your story. This has been buried. FBI bombshell. 274 agents, in fact. Was Ray Epps one of them? Shh, you're not allowed to talk about Ray Epps. You'll get sued. Why? 274 agents sent to the Capitol for J6. Many later complained that they were political pawns. Some of them were there to agitate. Others probably didn't know why they were there. You ready for this? The FBI secretly deployed more than 250 plainclothes agents to the U.S. Capitol during the January 6, 2021 riot, an operation so disorganized, it unleashed searing frustrations among many of the FBI's rank and file that the Bureau had lost its core competencies to wokeness and allowed its employees to become pawns in a political war, according to an after-action report kept from the public for more than 4 years. Scores of FBI agents and personnel, many from the Bureau's premier Washington field office, sent anonymous complaints to the after-action team, detailing how agents were sent into an unsafe scenario without proper safety equipment or the ability to identify themselves readily as armed officers to other police agencies. The report obtained by Just the News shows. The most persistent complaint was that the Bureau during the James Comey and Chris Wray era had become infected with political biases and liberal ideology that treated the protesters from the summer 2020 Black Lives Matter riots far differently than those arrested in the aftermath of the January 6th episode. The FBI should make clear to its personnel and to the public that despite its obvious political bias, it ultimately still takes its mission and priorities seriously, one employee wrote in a stinging review. It should equally and aggressively investigate criminal activity regardless of the offender's perceived race, political affiliations, or motivations, and it should equally and aggressively protect all Americans regardless of perceived race, political affiliations, or motivations. But that's not what we got. This process of American history that you were born to be a part of, that you were intended to bridge the gap and to teach your children about, is to expose what happens when a political party is allowed to steal an election and then bully and blackmail the silence out of everybody who knows.
Absolutely.
The culpability is far deeper than Christopher Wray and James Comey, which is why John Solomon said, the accountability roundup has begun. The first domino might have just fallen, but my, we might actually have a Guinness World Record laid out on the floor. Let it go. So one must ask, what did the January 6ers really do? Because I know Roseanne Boylan got beaten to death. And her killer, a Capitol police officer, has never been held accountable. In fact, she was promoted, as was the gentleman, we'll use that loosely, Michael Byrd, who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt. After, of course, he left his service revolver in a Capitol bathroom. Really? This is the best and the brightest? No. This is what Make America Great Again looks like, ladies and gentlemen. I voted for that. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this federal grand jury indicting former FBI agent James Comey. I wonder if he'll see any seashells in the sand today. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, let's move this up past our bottom of the hour. The radio station's giving out news reports and weather reports and their own advertisement.
The right way. Desperate. I'm like, you know what? I'm not ridiculous. Better. Because it boss frustrated apparently on the streets. These time. Oh, you. There we go. And it's. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, what's interesting, I don't feel any personal glee or satisfaction in James Comey being federally indicted. I don't, that's not what this is about. This isn't a personal thing to us, to me at least. This is a necessary step towards the American people believing in their system of government.
I got to stop here, and I absolutely agree with her. Because if they can do this stuff that they did, lie about a sitting president, make up evidence to get FISA warrants to spy on the president or a candidate for presidency, just because he doesn't want to follow their deep state rules, if they can get by with it, they'll frickin' do it again and again and again and again. There has to be some accountability. It's not revenge. It's paying the price for what you did. There's no partisanship as far as I'm concerned. They broke the frickin' law. And this should not be done to any president. Just like Donald Trump says, this should not be done to any president.
Because if, for years and years, which is the case as it's been, for Democrats to get away with everything, hook, line, and sinker,
there you go,
while pointing fingers over at Donald Trump and dragging him through a litigious meat grinder,
yep,
right? And creating every fake news headline, beating it to a pulp, parroting it out across every media outlet, including those which receive taxpayer funding. To me,
especially those,
the beginning of this process, that's what makes me excited. It has nothing to do with James Comey. The guy's a dirtbag. We've always known that. This isn't a surprise to me. And all of the information that's come out about him that the left has chosen to selectively not cover, right? The same way they chose to selectively not cover Joe Biden's mental collapse, doesn't change the fact that people who break the law need to be held accountable for so doing. And if you're going to say nobody is above the law and there aren't two tiers of justice, well, this is a first step in a long, arduous healing process, which ultimately Donald Trump's hope is will resuscitate our collective trust in the American government.
We can only hope.
So I want to get you the nuts and bolts of exactly what happened, because there's going to be a lot of scut online and on TV and all of these leftist hacks who want to tell you other things. Charges brought before the statute of limitations could expire. So that was a big deal. It was like they had days to try to scramble together and figure out, can we get a grand jury impaneled? Can we present evidence succinctly, clearly, demonstrably? Can we prove that we can probably win this case? Because a grand jury isn't going to indict if they think it's going to be a wild goose chase. And can we do this under the gun, which is why President Trump earlier this week lit up Pam Bondi in that truth. Look, we need to get moving on this. I don't know what you're doing, but we need to get moving on this. This is important. Former FBI Director James Comey indicted on federal charges. I'm reading from the Epoch Times. Federal grand jury issued an indictment against former FBI Director James Comey, accusing him of making a false statement and obstruction in a criminal case. These are complex, though very simple charges. Comey was indicted in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia, where there was a little U.S. Attorney's shuffle, if you will. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the area announced Thursday grand jurors rejected one of the counts brought against Comey. If they had rejected all three, there would have been no indictment, okay? Each charge returned by grand jurors could see a maximum of 5 years in federal prison for Comey if he's convicted. In a statement, Lindsay Halligan, the new U.S. attorney for the district, said the charges, quote, represent a breach of the public trust at an extraordinary level. The balance of power, she said, relies upon accountability and a forthright presentation of facts from executive leadership to congressional oversight. Any intent to avoid, evade, prevent, or obstruct compliance is a violation of professional responsibility and, more importantly, the law, Halligan said. This is a big shot across the bow to all of the people that House Oversight and House Judiciary since 2022, when we retook it, when they, right, all of the different people who've come in, Chris Wray multiple times included, stonewalling, slow walking, this includes Hunter Biden, right? If you want to fiddle with us, if you want to try to gum up the works of our official oversight, you're going to be held accountable. In a post on X referencing the indictment, Attorney General Pam Bondi wrote, "No one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects the Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. We will follow the facts in this case." FBI Director Kash Patel echoed the sentiment, writing on X, "For far too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponize the federal law enforcement, damaging once proud institutions and severely eroding public trust. He said political weaponization was most blatant during the Russiagate hoax. Quote, a disgraceful chapter in history we continue to investigate and expose. Now, this is where the ongoing grand conspiracy is so interesting. Statutes of limitations present, obviously, some roadblocks and some guide rails to how long somebody can be held criminally responsible for something. But if you're part of a grand conspiracy investigation, because after you committed an original alleged crime, you continue to do it, well, you're not scot-free. You're not out of the trap. Everyone, especially those in positions of power, will be held to account, no matter their perch, Patel concluded. No one is above the law. Now, this is kind of interesting because the charges stem from testimony James Comey gave on September 30th, 2020. There's so many things that they could pick. They need specificity. Give me an example. Prove to me how he lied, how he misled a congressional investigation, perjured himself, right? Show us how, give us the proof, and if you do, and we believe that you have a reasonable case, we will proceed. Bing, 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 bing. James Comey is going to have his video. We're going to play it for you in the next hour. I'm not going to put it here. But in a video posted to Instagram, Comey responded to the indictment. He said he was innocent. Of course, I never did anything wrong. And he told viewers that he is, quote, not afraid. I don't know why you would be afraid. Justice you should not be afraid of if you're innocent. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right, because of all the J6ers. Is that what you're talking about, Jim? Is it what you're talking about? Because you're like, man, we did a number on those people. Like 1,500 of them, right? We trapped them. We got them all fired up. We shot rubber bullets at them. We beat to death one of them. We shot to death another one of them. I mean, like, yeah, about that. All this stuff is going to come out. John Solomon says it's the first domino. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, Comey says, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial. Let's have a trial. Let's have a trial. Because we have the audio for you guys to hear where he is asked under oath by Chuck Grassley, in fact, sir, did you do such and such? Nope. No, I didn't. And then a month later, James Comey saying, yeah, I did that. Okay? There are multiple examples here. So the indictment returned by the grand jury Thursday includes charges of making false statements and obstruction of official proceedings. The first charge, which is a violation of 18 U.S. Code 1001, is related to false statements to government actors. It permits penalties for an individual who, quote, makes any materially false, fictitious, or fraudulent statement or representation in a matter under the jurisdiction of any of the three branches of the federal government. In this case, the charge relates to the legislative branch. This would be the oversight. The obstruction charge allows federal penalties, including fines, or up to 5 years in prison for knowingly misrepresenting, withholding, or otherwise preventing disclosure of information in civil or House investigations. And both charges stem from Comey's September 30th, 2020 testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Okay, so this is what's going on. We're going to have all the stuff that's going on with Jim Comey's comments. We're going to have the before and after when he was asked and he lied, and we got the proof of that. But this is a little something that also eked out that might not be getting the attention or the oxygen it needs. And you have to see what you think about this. Epic Times headline. DOJ moving commuted death row inmates to supermax prisons. Huh. This is kind of interesting. And you're like, why? Well, let me read this to you. The Justice Department has begun transferring former federal death row inmates whose sentences were commuted in the final days of the Biden administration by the auto pen to what is widely considered the most restrictive prison in the United States, Attorney General Pam Bondi said yesterday. The DOJ confirmed to the Epoch Times that 8 men formerly condemned to death, convicted of murders, including gang killings, prison stabbings, and the murder of 2 campers, were moved this week to the U.S. Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, Colorado, known as ADX. Bondi said the transfers are part of an effort to address President Joe Biden's last-minute December commutations of 37 death sentences, which she called a stain on our justice system and a betrayal of the families of victims. We have begun transferring the monsters Biden commuted to supermax prisons where they will spend the rest of their lives in conditions that match their egregious crimes. Her statement also cited Fox News reporting that according to DOJ officials, all 37 commuted inmates are expected to be relocated to the Colorado facility by early next year. While a presidential commutation cannot be undone, officials said Bondi has prioritized, consistent with directives from President Donald Trump, ensuring conditions of confinement are consistent with the security risks those inmates present because of their egregious crimes, criminal histories, and all other relevant considerations. Look, this is the message that should be heard across the world. You want to come to America or be a citizen otherwise, and you want to kill people, and you want to be a disgusting human being, we will find you. We will lock you up, and you will serve the rest of your putrid existence in such foul conditions, not dissimilar to the solitary confinement the QAnon shaman Jacob Chansley enjoyed for 15 months as a January 6er, after all. We will confine you, we will imprison you, and you will die a miserable old individual. Do you think criminals across the country, as President Trump signs an executive order saying people who commit murder in Washington, D.C. should be put to death? Do you think this is all just random? All connected. When we come back on the Wendy...
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. But I think she puts out some great stuff, folks, and the facts behind it. You know, you're not going to hear this stuff on CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC. You know, you're not going to hear it because she tells the truth. And you know what? They don't. All right? Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and see what X22 report has to say. He's with Sheriff Mack. The deep state, one world government is over. Trump is shifting us back to the Constitution. That sounds great to me. Let's see what this is all about.
Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a returning guest, Sheriff Mack. Sheriff Mack is the former sheriff of Graham County, Arizona, served in law enforcement for 20 years. In 1988, he was elected to the office of sheriff in his hometown and served as such for 8 years. In 1991, he graduated from the FBI Academy. Sheriff Mack is the founder and president of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. This organization brings citizens, law enforcement, sheriffs, and elected officials together. He was provided hundreds of training seminars to sheriffs, police, and public officials in all 50 states and in several other countries across the world. He's appeared on many different mainstream media outlets like CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Newsmax, LA Times, and these publications are all over the world. He has a book out called America Last Hope, and I am very happy and honored to have Sheriff Mack back on the X22 Report Spotlight. Sheriff, welcome back to the Spotlight.
Hey, thanks so much. It's great to be with you. And I think I asked you before, but I don't remember. What does X22 stand for?
X is extreme, and 22 is my lucky number. And everything that my wife and I do, for some reason, revolves around the number 2, and you could always divide it by 2. So I don't know why. That's why I picked it. So that's what it stands for.
All right. Well, super. Yeah. Well, this is our lucky number this year. It's our 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations on
Thanks.
having 50 years of marriage. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially when the Democrats are telling everyone not to get married.
Not to get married. Yeah. And maybe because of them, only 7% of all marriages make it to 50.
I just want to start off. Let's just start off because Trump was giving a speech out in New York, and he was at the United Nations, and he pretty much scolded them. He really, told them that, listen, everything that you're doing is a con job. What do you make of this?
Well, that was probably one of the most statesman like presentations he's done in a long time. It took a lot of guts. It took a lot of leadership. And it's the reason why from the very get-go, I've always liked Trump. He's not a politician. He doesn't try to play politics. He doesn't pull punches. If he sees something he doesn't like, he says it. And he hasn't liked the UN for a long time, and nor have I. My disdain for the UN goes back 30, 40, 50 years. And I'll be 73 in December. I have seen nothing but communism, more poverty, more wars, and they were supposed to be a peacekeeping organization. The League of Nations formed right after, I believe, World War II, and then it was replaced by the United Nations. This has been a joke from the get-go. They are not peacekeeping. In fact, look at all of the wars that America has been in. And most of it's been because of them. And so Vietnam, Korea, the conflicts in the Middle East, they virtually ordered George W., to invade Iraq. And so, go get rid of all those weapons of mass destruction. And they didn't find any. The UN is run by communists. It was formed by communists, and it's got a communist agenda. And just as President Trump pointed out a couple of days ago, they have done nothing, absolutely nothing, to stop the war in the Ukraine. And so here's Trump doing more than any other country, doing more than any other body of leadership, of leaders throughout the world, especially the UN. And the UN still has China and Russia on the Security Council. And none of this makes sense. And the reason it doesn't make sense is because the United Nations doesn't care about this. And they are a communist organization that is out to me, it's all about global control. And who do they work with? Of course, their branch for this Center on Disease would be the World Health Organization. Yep. WHO is another joke put out by the United Nations. And so it used to be that we were paying 25%, 30% of all the dues to the United Nations. And Trump stopped that. And he did the same with the dues to NATO. So Trump has exemplified some fantastic leadership, but he needs to just take this step one further, because he proclaimed to the world that the United Nations is useless when it comes to keeping peace, promoting freedom, especially promoting freedom and individual liberty throughout the world. They are completely and utterly useless. And in fact, he even accused them of helping fund, which means our money is going to that, helping fund the illegal immigration in the West. Yep. And it's not just America, but England and Australia and other countries as well. And so why not get out of this? Make them irrelevant to the United States of America. The real propaganda scam on this is that the United States answers to the United Nations, and we do not. And we shouldn't let anybody think that we do. So I don't know why we would stay in that organization. He's finally realized how useless and utterly contrary to American idealism that the UN is.
Yeah, it's actually, when you really think about it, the UN, the WHO, it's completely opposite of what the United States stands for, the Constitution and everything. It's completely
Individual
opposite.
choices. Yeah. Yeah. Making your own free will choices.
Yeah. And fun fact is that, the U.S., at a time, we pay 25% of the UN, and only 4% of Americans actually work for the UN, but we pay 25%, which is very interesting.
Well, I guess they allowed to have they allowed us to have their building in New York.
True.
Yeah, who cares? Get that out of the United States and get the United States out of the UN.
Do you think the entire purpose of the UN and the WHO and the World Bank and the World, everything is called world. Do you think the entire purpose is to remove the sovereignty of every country?
Yes, it is. It's global control. They want a global government. And that's what the UN has been about from the get-go. They have not done anything to create peace or reduce poverty or increase liberty throughout the world. Nothing.
So Trump, he really hit them hard with the illegals coming into this country and around the world. And
he accused them of funding it.
Yeah, he did. I mean, what in your mind, what is the purpose of bringing in all these illegals into the UK, into France, into Germany, into the United States? I mean, it's mostly Muslims that they're bringing in. I mean, what is their goal?
Well, in the United States, I'd have to say it's not mostly Muslims that has happened, but in Europe, it's mostly Muslims.
Yes,
no question. And in fact, I was really taken. The one time I spent 4 days because I was working too much. I met my family, my daughter, her husband, and my wife in Paris. We got to spend 2 days in Paris and 2 days in London, and that's not nearly enough time. But that was my only time I've ever been to Europe. But I was really taken by the herds, just gobs of Muslims begging for money. And they were very annoying. And so, man, finally you want to just say, here, take it, get out of my way, get out of my face. And then somebody else said, whatever you do, don't give it to them. You're helping fund people that control them. And you don't want to fund what they're taking money for. And I said, oh, thanks for the reminder. I just got so frustrated with it. But they've really taken over. No one does anything about it. And now France and England are starting to say, wow, we made a huge mistake opening our borders the way we have. But the United States has as well, of course, especially during the Biden administration. But canceling our culture, as they've attempted to do. Look at Ilhan Omar, who is a Muslim, anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-freedom. Look at the things she talks about. The way she trashed Charlie Kirk.
Right.
Yeah.
And people that are that insensitive and unfeeling and inhuman, I don't care who it was. I would never talk like that to somebody who just lost their husband and their father and their son. I don't care. People every now and again at meetings I attended, there's always some crazy person that said, oh, we need to take Obama out. I said, that is absolutely insane. And don't ever say that around me, because but do they think what would really happen if something like that happened? It's horrible. And what has happened to our country because we lost Charlie Kirk is horrible. Mm-hmm. Look at the future he had ahead of him. And it was killed. It was abolished so abruptly. 31 years old, and the influence that he had. Look how close he was with President Trump. Look how close he was with the youth of America and the colleges across this country, and just wiped out. And Ilhan Omar celebrated it and even attacked him more afterwards. I didn't like John McCain, but I didn't attack him when he died. And I didn't say, oh, good riddance. Never would I say that to anyone.
Yeah.
I did not like his politics. I did not like how he acquiesced on everything. But he was someone that needed to be revered, especially at the time of his death. And I wasn't happy that he died. And I will call out people for their views. If I disagree with their views, I'll let people know. But at the time of their death, that's not the time to do that. And so it's just a shame that the Democrats pretend to be about peace and tolerance when they are nothing even close to that.
That's right.
Well, I mean, lately we've been hearing from the side of the Democrats, they keep saying that Trump is Hitler, we're fascists, and they continually do this. I mean, I think Governor Newsom's office just put out something about Stephen Miller, and they actually use the term SS for his name. So, yeah. I mean, it feels like they're just continually pushing this. And I mean, we saw the individual that assassinated Charlie Kirk, and then we had another individual that went after the ICE facility in Texas. I mean, it seems like they're done using words. They're done, using information. It feels like they're moving to a physical attack on we the people now.
Yeah, well, if you kept, who's one of the people in world history that you really wish would have been assassinated? That's Hitler. And people his own army tried to assassinate him. And yet nothing ever happened to him. And if we could go back and say, man, yeah, I mean, if I was given the opportunity to kill Hitler and save 6 million lives, and it wasn't just the Jews he went after. He went after the infirm, the handicapped, homosexuals, Christians, gypsies. I mean, he was after everybody. But obviously the Jews the most. If I could have stopped those ovens that people were put in, and I could have taken him out, I absolutely would have. And so when you tell people that Trump is Hitler, of course they're going to think of this. Oh, gosh, yes, the world hates Hitler. Yes, we've got to get rid of Trump. That's an easy connection. And the Democrats know that. And they've done the same to me. Not to the same degree, but they've done the same to me. I'm anti-Semitic. I've never been anti-Semitic in my life. My English teacher was Mrs. Greenbaum. We never knew she was a Jew. I didn't know that was a Jewish name. Nobody cared. She was our teacher. Yeah. That's it. I don't care what religion she was. I don't care what nationality she was. No one else cared in my family. It was never brought up. I went to school with Hispanics. I'm from Southern Arizona. What do you think was at my school? We had blacks. We played football together. We played basketball together. We loved each other. We were friends. And they came and they were all welcome in my home. And Mrs. Greenbaum was in the book club with my mother. She was not ostracized. Why? She's no different than anybody else. But yet, for some reason, the ADL and other groups, isn't this really funny? The ADL is called the Anti-Defamation League, and they've defamed me over and over. And I've tried to talk to them about it. I've left messages. They don't care. They don't want to talk to me, and they don't want to know the truth.
That's the whole thing right there, folks. These Democrats don't want to know. I don't know what they want, other than just chaos. If you step back and take a look at it, it seems like that is what their goal is to create as much chaos as they possibly can while they live behind their gated communities with their armed guards, and they want to take your weapons away from you so that they can be more protected. It's unbelievable. It's amazing how the liberals who are so against firearms are using these firearms to kill people because of their speech. Unbelievable. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm like halfway through this video here, so if you want to watch the rest of it, please do so. The link is in the description box below. Let me click on the Rumble link here and show you that this video does come from X22 Report. This is the video that I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Let me take a look here at the live chats. We've got, looks like MS Gray GRHYS, Grays. He looks to be a little bit upset with, yeah, a little bit upset with Rand Paul. But let's go ahead and copy this into a chat, and so that this live stream will be part of this video. Okay, let me close that out and put that in there. And I think just so I know, I'm going to go ahead and take this out because I don't want Rumble to be upset about that. So when the live chat goes away, then that won't be there anymore. But that won't be in the comment with the rest of the video. I want to give you some information here from Rumble on the world premier crypto trading platform.
Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging, it's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform.
They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO. The powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends, to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there.
Want in on the action? Head again.
All right, there we have it. Okay, let me remind you folks that these videos that I shared with you are videos that come directly from Murtech.com. I post these videos on Murtech.com, where I have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos, and these are just 4 of the over 55 videos that I have on Murtech.com. The links to the videos are right here in the description box, the links to the video channels. In other words, On the Fringe, Dan Radio Style. On the Fringe is the producer of this video. The link to this channel is, if you click on that, it's going to take you to On the Fringe. Okay? So I'm just trying to share this information out with you so you know of different channels where you can get the truth rather than the lies and propaganda from the mainstream media. And over here on Murtech.com, as I said, these videos I've posted here directly from the producer's channels. And the same thing here, right here is the video from X22 report. Here's the video from Wendy Bell. So all great information. The link to Murtech.com is in the description box if you want to come here and look at more great information. And I don't have time in this hour plus few minutes live stream that I have to share all this information with you. But I do have my daily news wrap-up coming up about 9:30, where I have over 60 videos in there of information that's dropped all day long so you can catch up with what's going on today. And it's information that you're not coming from the lying legacy mainstream media. It's all information from reputable channels that give you great information. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for spending your time with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, about 9:30. Go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, grab a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here then. But at any rate, thank you so very much for being with me, and have a great evening, and may God bless.